And welcome back to another edition of Western New York High School Football Weekly of Western New York Athletics. I'm Joe Kraus, filling in for Frank Wolf tonight, and back with us, Mr. Energetic, Tom Prince. Tom, it's good to see you. We also have Tim Gardner behind the scenes, and here we are, man. Week 7, another big show ahead. This season is just flying by.
It really is flying by. You can legitimately say this really has been a blink of an eye where we're at right now, and we're getting excited because this is a time where everybody's starting to prep and get ready for those playoffs.
And there's so many different scenarios of the postseason. I know Francis Beck just posted a great piece, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we would like to thank our sponsors for tonight's broadcast. Once again, big thanks to all of our sponsors for bringing the show together. And we have some pretty big guests here tonight. We have from Westside East, the unbeaten Trojans from Class B, head coach Jim Marino and quarterback DJ Banker. It's a big game that you'll be on Friday against Williamsville South. And we're also going to hear from Bennett running back Jimmy Valentine, one of the top backs in the section. We got a pretty big house on hand.
Yeah, we really do. And that's the fun part of this show is we get to really showcase so many different great football players here in Western New York. And we got more to come today. And the great news about this, these are teams right now leading their divisions that we're going to get a chance to because they will be making playoff runs.
So before we get into the postseason, we had some pretty big games this past week. Starting on Thursday, Lackawanna with a 16-0 win against Maryville. The Steelers, a big win. They were without their starting quarterback, Michael Moore, actually on their third-string quarterback in the sophomore Adrian Garcia. That was a MyTV game this past Thursday. Makai Scott had a huge scoop and score. And it seems, Tom, a guy that we have seen week after week. Nassim Dali, another big game in the backfield. But Lackawanna, that tough week 1 loss to Pioneer, they just keep chugging along. I mean, Lackawanna, they're right back in it once again.
And I'll tell you, when you talk to Coach Rivers after that game, he told me, I didn't care. Of course, I cared that I won, but it wasn't going to affect anything that happened with our season. I wanted to take on one of the best teams. I wanted to challenge my team. I wanted to see where they were in the season. He's done all that, and since then, they've really stepped up big right now. And their only other loss right now is to Iroquois in another very close game. But they are showing that they are going to be a team to be reckoned with as this season goes on.
And that loss to Iroquois only by a touchdown. So if you take those two in, I guess just seeing what Lackawanna has done over the years with the running game, Nassim Dali, just the latest example. I mean, Lackawanna, they can move the ball. They made it to the state semis 3 years ago. We were there for that one as well. What is it about that culture that you just see from Lackawanna that you've enjoyed?
Well, you know where I'm going to go. It begins and ends right there inside the trenches, and that's something that has separated that team now for the last couple years. It's all been about the trench play and then being able to run the ball, which is why they've seen so many running backs be so successful in that program because of that line opening up the holes the way they did. They did not. The only big one they lost from last year to this was one of the big names that we saw, Sammy Ikekanawa, who's doing it right now for ECC, having a big year. But that man was the only one they really lost, and they've been proving it right now in the trenches that they can play with just about anybody.
So Lackawanna with that big win, moving also to 4-2 overall, really tight in that race. So Lackawanna was a big one. Then you were also Thursday night, Medina and Tonawanda. Medina with a 8-to-win victory here over Tonawanda. But Medina, I mean, Christian Moss, I've had the pleasure to watch him a few times. You got to see him again. 3 rushing scores. Medina, again, kind of up and down where they were going to go. And just the last couple weeks here, they figured it out too.
Well, the big thing about Medina is that team is so young. It may be one of the youngest teams they've ever put out there. So what they're doing is trying to get these kids some reps is what they're trying to do. The more reps they get, the better they're going to be. And they've been challenged by some teams early on, especially with offensive power or to be able to match what they can do on the line. The match in the line came from the Barker-Royhart game, and obviously the offense and how potent it can be was Eden North Collins. But even in all those games, you saw that Medina was right in them at times, and it was either a bad quarter or a couple set of plays that really set them back and helped the other team be able to go on to a victory. This team is still a very dangerous team. Not as big as what we've known them to be as far as the Lions go, but they've got some great skilled players, and I'll tell you, they're getting better and better as the season goes on. This will be a fun team to watch as the playoffs begin.
And I know that going into the season, Medina wasn't sure if they were going to be able to be a sectional team. There were thoughts of going to 8-man. Then they have the numbers. And, I mean, Eric Valley, he has done it year to year. And Preston Woodworth at quarterback, I know he's having a solid year, another baseball guy. But go
got
ahead.
a D1 offer to Rutgers, too.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. And with a player like Preston and then Christian Moss, I mean, I've said the last couple of years just covering Section 6 football, if Christian Moss is in the game and he's healthy, Medina has a shot. And, I mean, is that what you're seeing with Medina too?
Oh, 100%. But no matter what, shot or not, you need the line's help. And that's something, like I said, they're getting more and more confidence as things are going. I'll tell you, in the game against Tonawanda, he may have ran for another 150 yards that got taken back on penalties. So there were a lot of flags that were thrown inside this game that Medina still overcame. Was close early on, then you saw them kind of get into a rhythm and take off, and that's really when they put big points up on the board.
So Medina, once again, another big win over Tonawanda. And then Friday night, you were down in Lancaster for a Lancaster 42-28 win over Niagara Falls. And Lancaster, and we'll get to this week ahead of Lancaster-Bennett, but another close win for the Legends, and the running game was there, and they're able to hold off a Niagara Falls team that's shown flashes a lot this year of growth on the offensive side.
More flashes than anything. I mean, it's been unbelievable to see what they've done. And their quarterback right now, when you're talking about goes for over 300 yards against Lancaster, put up some major numbers and did some big things. And I'll tell you that there were also multiple drops in this game that really could have led to other scores and making that even a closer game. But what I talked about when they played Orchard Park, what I've talked about in just about every game that Lancaster has done, what they win is they win special teams. And in this one, they block an extra point. They stop a 2-point conversion. They blocked a punt. They took a punt back for a touchdown, or kickoff back for a touchdown. It's a special teams win, 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 win. And you know as well as I do, if you win special teams and win it significantly, there's a good chance you're going to win the game. And Lancaster has proven that multiple times this year alone. But don't count out this Niagara Falls team. I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, if you are going to end up as a 4 or 5 seed and play this Niagara Falls team, that is the last team I want anything to do with right now. They are getting confidence. They believe they can start playing with all the upper teams inside the AA. They're going to be in the mix of this. They've taken, right now, they gave Lancaster a good punch. Obviously, they still won by a good margin. They gave Orchard Park the big scare. You know they were close in Bennett by 5 points. And they're about to take on Jamestown right now to see where things land there. I'm telling everybody right now, watch out. This Niagara Falls team is going to make some havoc and make some things happen in that AA conference.
And that's such a good point. The recent history of Niagara Falls and Jamestown, they had to play the last week of the regular season to determine the 4-5, and then the postseason it went back to Jamestown. But Daryl Smith, I think wide receiver for Niagara Falls, he's had sensational games the last couple of years. He's gotten some looks, and even just seeing Niagara Falls in person the last couple of years, him and Michael Taylor, who has had a really solid senior campaign, when those two can get going, it's exciting to watch the speed and the flash. Like we were saying, those two are a really big tandem for Coach Bass and the Wolverines.
And I'll tell you this. In this game, there was some of the hardest hitting football I've seen in a long time in this game. And it came from both sides of the field. It came from both Lancaster and Niagara Falls. But there is somebody I want to point out on the Niagara Falls team. It's number 5, Armani Morris. This kid is listed, ready? He's listed at 5'10", 150 pounds. And he played D-end like he was 6'4", 240 pounds, knocking everybody all over the place. I have never seen somebody that size do what he can on the defensive line. This kid was something to watch and will cause problems for the rest of the season.
So, as we said, Lancaster, Niagara Falls, Lancaster with the big win, and we'll talk about Lancaster-Bennett later on. Niagara Falls still in this hunt here, the 4-5 scenario, but again, a good Class AA clash. And speaking of clashes, Williamsville East with a close one against Grand Island, 17-14. Always a big game when these two come together. But Jack Landreth with the go-ahead field goal early on in the fourth quarter. And I know that, myself, Tim Gardner, we've done a lot of the hockey games with Williamsville East. There's something about Mike Terrell hockey. That's what all the kids keep saying. It's Mike Terrell hockey. What about Mike Terrell football? Because each year when Williamsville East, when we get into October, the Flames are usually in the hunt, still going for that big run. And the last couple of weeks here with Will East, they have really stood out. And that win against Grand Island could be the exclamation point that they were looking for.
Tim, you didn't have to talk with him about not bringing hockey up on the football show. I'm teasing, you know that, Joe. But no, great analogy. It really was. He really has been proving things. And you saw it when we got a chance to talk to him on this very show, exactly what was being brought to by this team, that this was a special team that he's got here, and it's been proving week over week over week, and they are in the mix to do something big as well. And I like it because it's not one-way football. It's not just doing it through the air. It's not just doing it through the run. They're doing it multiple ways to be able to win. And we just talked about it with Lancaster. He's got special teams, and special teams are now winning him games.
And Williamsville East, they've been in a lot of close contests. The North Tonawanda game is the first that comes to mind with just the Flames. And every year, there have been players that have stood out. Is there anyone for Will East that stood out to you individually?
Oh, I think it's, like you said, it's been multiple guys. It's not one guy just out there running the show. We're talking about it's been different guys every week. When I do the Skylines report, which is now recognizing top quarterbacks, top wide running backs, top wide receivers, you're noticing it's different guys that are showing up on that list from Williamsville East. It's not just one guy. They're really doing it from multiple guys. It's a true team victory is what it is.
And on the flip side with Grand Island, they're also still in the hunt. Dean Santorio, year after year, knows that this is the time of year when his team has to perform. The Vikings, they've had a really strong ground game. Once again, Dom Nucci, the fullback, a really solid player, and Nick Court in the mix at quarterback. I guess, what do you like about Grand Island? Because I feel like Grand Island, people keep saying they're on the outside. I think they're still right in there.
When have you seen a Grand Island team not be ready for a playoff run? That's exactly what it is. And we've seen them lose some of the games in the regular season, but become a totally different team when the playoffs come. Coach Santorio is going to have this team ready, I am sure. And I'll tell you, the young man that you just brought up right there, to be able to be the leader of Grand Island, the one thing you've just got to be able to watch from him is he may be more of a leader on the defensive side of the ball, Nucci, than he is on the offensive side of the ball. That's not saying he isn't great when he runs the ball. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying of the importance that young man brings to the defensive side of the spectrum and how he can be a part of shutting a team down.
So there we have it. Will East, Grand Island, another huge game. And then just finally, just another big team. Barker Royhart, still in the hunt here, still at the top of Class C North. Myself, Corey Zeitz were there 2 weeks ago for the game against Eden North Collins. Last week, a big 2 week early in the season against Section 5's York Pavilions. They got that win, and they just keep rolling along. 21 rushing touchdowns so far, and it really doesn't matter, kind of what we talked about Will East and the other teams. It doesn't matter who you give the ball in the backfield, someone's going to burst it out. And what Bill Brunning has done his first year back at the helm for the Bulls, it's special. I think Barker Royhart, that's a team that we're going to keep talking about more and more as we get closer.
Brunning, where did he come from?
Royhart.
Okay, but where was he coaching before he went back to Royhart?
Newfane.
He's been all over the place.
Yes.
Okay, is where he's been. He's known the Medina program real well. He's known the Newfane program real well. What are both of those teams been known for? That offensive line, getting the big men to do that. That's something that Barker Royhart is bringing. He's almost bringing C-South football to the north side of the spectrum. They're the one team that's built like that strong C-South that we're talking about, that's got the lines, that could put up some big numbers. But I'll still tell you, Coach Brunning, you know as well as I do, that's a baseball guy first, and he better be there. As both of his guys, were killer in baseball. And in fact, his son may be a part of the best baseball game I may have ever witnessed here in Section 6, by the way.
That's right, Jake. Yes.
No. It was Charlie.
Charlie.
No, so it was a 1-0 game played at Medina versus Royhart. 0-0. Both pitchers are in the ninth inning. Charlie comes up in the top of the ninth, or it was in the bottom of the ninth because they were the home team playing at Medina. And he hits one out for a 1-0 victory right there. And I'll tell you, it was one of the best pitch games I've seen played, and his son was a part of it.
Unbelievable. That's a great story. And, I mean, I would say, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, when I called into J.K. Francis's postgame show, the umpire end zone, Tyson McCaw, I mean, just every year that he's the Barker Royhart quarterback, it just seems that year after year he's gotten better. He was more confident in that Eden North Collins game when Brady Waring is on the other side. So I would say I'm with you, partner, about Barker Royhart. I think it's going to be a deep stretch. Was there any other big games or anything else from this past week that stood out to you?
Nothing that really stood out. Well, I will say this. The game that was surprising to me was definitely the Southwestern Frewsburg-Salamanca game. Not that the fact that Southwestern Frewsburg won, it was by how much they won. Because this Salamanca team we know has been right in the mix year after year. 2 losses back-to-back. I do think we're still going to hear from that Salamanca team because the way they started off, they had some big wins. But that was one I was just shocked by how far the game was as score-wise that was out there. So that one shocked me a little bit just to be able to see that happen. Otherwise, I thought most of the other stuff really played to what we thought would happen out there, but now becomes the 2 big weeks, right? Now becomes the weeks that really set us up to see if you're going to make the playoffs. There are some conferences that are in complete flux. And when I say flux, it's more about the teams that are going to get into the playoffs versus necessarily seeding. So that's going to be fun to see how some of this really plays out right now in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot that still has to be played over the next 2 weeks. Canisius and St. Francis, and we'll get to those later on. I mean, man, it's that time of year, Tom, where it's kind of like Christmas for us, the holiday season. It's all right there. Like there's nothing that is comparable to what the football time really is.
Oh, it really. I mean, from here to the march onto the stadium, it's just something to watch. But you brought up a game. How can you not, in Western New York, have circled Canisius St. Francis and want to not be I'm going to be running to that game. Like, I want everything there could be possibly a part of that game. That's going to be everything we've seen and more. You look at any ranking that's out there when you look at large schools, and it's got one of them as 1-2, right? It just depends how we rank them. In fact, I guarantee you we'll see differences. Frank and I had differences. It'll be differences clear across the board, but that's the game where there's no more differences. We're going to find out who the best is.
Absolutely. And yes, that's a good point. Later on, we'll do our power rankings, but for right now, we're going to take a short break. We'll talk about this past week's Connolly Cup winners, the Trent Trophy winners, much more on the way when we come back on Western New York Athletics.
At Richmond Vona, we are seriously dedicated to bettering the communities that we serve.
You will get super high level communication, and you are getting a team of dedicated attorneys, paralegals.
If you put your trust in us and hire us, we promise to take care of everything. Call us as soon as possible so we can start the investigation to fight to get you the settlement you deserve.
Wing nuts. You still got to go.
Have you guys tried Room 40 yet?
Looking for the perfect spot to throw your next party? Say hello to Room 40, our private event space at both Wingnuts locations. Maybe you got a birthday, a graduation, anniversary, business event, rehearsal dinner, or even a sports banquet. From intimate get-togethers to rowdy celebrations, Room 40 is built to handle it all and fits up to 60 guests, with custom food and drink packages, flexible setups, legendary Wingnuts hospitality, and all the wings you can handle. If you're planning a celebration or get-together in Buffalo, this is where the party's at. Local vibes, zero stress, all fun. Book Room 40 today and throw a party Buffalo won't forget. Hit the link in our bio or visit wingnutsbuffalo.com/room40 to book now.
All right, well, we'll get
I'll
into
go
Wing
if you
Nuts.
go to Wingnuts. Deal.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
I'm George Wiley, a senior at Canisius High School. As the only Jesuit high school in Western New York, Canisius delivers a life-changing education. Canisius prepares young men for acceptance into the nation's finest universities, and our community supports us at each step of our journey. We are proud of our excellent athletics and our emphasis on service. This place is special. Let us show you why.
Experience firsthand the excellence of Canisius High School. Schedule your visit at canisiushigh.org.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
Or an efficient personal approach for all of your transportation needs. More information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
Welcome back, Western New York. I now have the honor of Coach Jim Marino from West Seneca East, quarterback DJ Benker from West Seneca East right now joining me. Guys, thanks for coming in today.
All right, thanks for having us.
No problem. So, Coach, the last couple years, obviously I don't want to say in a rebuild program, but in essence, it wasn't the leading the conference every single week that you're back to doing now. What do you think is one of the big differences to making that happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a rebuild either, but, we made an investment in some young players over the last couple of years, and it took a little time for them to develop. And so we've got younger guys now that have a ton of experience. So freshmen, sophomores, guys that are now sophomores and juniors have played 16, 17, 18 varsity football games. So they're performing more like seniors. And the biggest thing for us is we have that experience. And I feel like I'll tell everybody that'll listen, our offensive line has just come together this year. It's just a group that, we didn't know, and they gelled and they came together and they're performing really well.
And those were when you always had success. There was those big offensive lines to be able to run the ball, and run the ball. Right. But this year's something a little bit different in the sense of it's not about only running the ball. This gentleman sitting right there next to you is showing that you can do both ways to be able to win. Talk about having a quarterback like this, how it's been able to help you this season.
Yeah, obviously, traditionally since I've been there, we've been a run-first team. But I think what it allows us to do is run the ball, and have the threat of the pass, and I think that gets people out of the box. That opens up the run game even more because you've got to defend both now. You can't, in the past we've had teams where, you could stack the box and, we couldn't do much. But this year, that's different. The last couple of years has been a different story for us.
Talk about, so I got a chance. So this week on the Skylines report that I put out, the assistant coaches I named this week were West Seneca East coaches to be able to name them.
Sure.
But a lot of those coaches got a familiar name that's been consistent in there.
Yeah.
Talk about what it's like coaching, in essence, as a family right now.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Paul Gregory and Mark Kwalk have been with me, for 20 years. So that's kind of, they coach the boys. They grew up, the boys grew up knowing them. And then to have the boys on staff it's just a lot of fun. It really is. And I think the kids notice that. And, it just creates a great atmosphere for the program, for the team.
So off air, I said to you, boy, the last time that probably West Seneca East and West Seneca West were both this good together was when this young man's uniform that's sitting right here next to us played.
Yeah.
Talk about just the evolution of both teams to now.
Yeah, I think they're kind of on the same track as us, Wes. You know, they've got some young players that they've developed, and you know they've had a great start to their season as well. And it does seem like we coincide. Like, you know, we have the same records almost certain years, and then we are both really good certain years, and it makes the rivalry game great. And there was a couple years we were in the same division, so we were able to play for the sectional title that year, and so it's just the way it goes back and forth is just really good to be part of.
A big game this week, as we are. And a team that probably is built very similar to the way you guys play ball. In other words, can win a game with the pass, can win it with the run. Have a good defense, have a good line. All those different things now come into play. So talk about what would have to happen on the field to be able to move forward with a big victory right here.
Sure. First of all, tons of respect for Joe and his staff over there and what they've done with that program. You know, they're you know, in contention all the time, you know, when he's there. Been, you know, coached against Joe. I don't want to date myself, but all 3 years he was the starting quarterback at Will South. So then obviously watched his career. But then to come back to you know, he's kind of doing what everybody would want to do, right? Coming back to his school and leading them and doing a great job. But I think for us to be successful, we can't do anything different. You know, it's where you want to be at this time of the year, right? It's you're undefeated. You're playing for the division championship and the first round seed. It's what every other team wants to be at, our position. But I think the message we've sent to the kids is it's not different. You know, we're gonna play Trojan football. We're gonna do it our way. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna play mistake free. We're gonna set the tone, set the tempo for the game, protect the football, and just do it the way we've won all those games preceding.
So the one thing you talked about was how close this team has gotten real early, and sometimes we as coaches do something a little bit differently, maybe have that one thing that's different in the off season. Is there anything you felt you did a little bit differently this year to bring them all together?
I wouldn't say necessarily differently. It's just I think that they kind of grew together in that confidence, you know, that they have, because they genuinely like each other. They have sometimes a little too much fun at practice, so we got to reel them in a little bit, but they do genuinely like each other. And I think when it comes down to it on Friday night, they play for each other, and that's the big difference that I see with them.
So let's talk to our quarterback right now. So obviously, you've been one of these young members of the team that has grown with this team. Talk about how you have actually grown as long as the team the last couple of years has.
Myself personally, I feel like I've grown not only my run game but pass game. First started in 7th grade playing football, first time pads actually, and just really reading defenses, you know, reading playbooks, what I'm supposed to do, and you know, just playing with all these boys since 7th grade. I mean, we've all played modified since then together, and just grown all together throughout the summer and just the seasons, and you know, we've really just grown strong together, and yeah.
So, but talk about you as a quarterback, okay? Because obviously as you grow, different strengths happen as you grow. You get stronger, you get more belief, you're able to read coverages like you said. But what have you done to advance your game?
Just weight room, really. Lifting weights, working on my agility, working on my speed. Honestly, baseball has given me a lot of strength in my arm, so allow me to throw the ball harder, farther. But just working the off season really get me going for just football and how I've been playing.
You had a game and a half last week, you know that, right? And in doing that, you've got some accolades that are happening. Conley Cup nominations, all those things start to happen. How does it make you feel that you've been watching this and see these happen over the years, and now you're getting some of those accolades? Tell me how that makes you feel.
I mean, it feels great, but you just got to keep playing our game, got to keep pushing, and focus on Friday for the division now. So,
talk about the past a little bit, right? Because this is a team that was year after year was expected to almost get to Highmark Stadium. So talk about how that past has now become your expectations now.
I mean, we're just seeing it come to life. Just week after week, watching film, practicing hard, and putting it all towards the games, and just focusing on the following week, and just getting to the stadium now. I mean, that's the goal.
To put up almost 300 yards in a game, you need help to do that. So to help do that, why don't you talk about some of the wide receivers and some of those threats that you've got out there that you're utilizing to your advantage?
Yeah, we got Joey Molnar, awesome receiver. Josh Urban carrying the ball really well. We had Kevin, got hurt last game, but he's been a really big part of the offense, but it also comes from our line. I mean, they're giving us time in the pocket to throw, blocking really well. and they're just really strong as an overall group, and that really helps out.
So the first time you get to a practice and you know that you're actually playing a top defense or 7-on-7s, or give me anything that you were looking at, uppers camps. Let's look at that one. When you know you're playing a good line in the uppers camps, all of a sudden you got a little bit more time than you've ever had to throw the ball versus previous years. When did you know, wow, we got something special going on right here? When did the light bulb go out that you had something special as a team?
Honestly, it was our first scrimmage against, we had South Park, right? It was just like, wow, I have time in the pocket to throw. I have time to read the defense, not just throw the ball right away. Allow me to just make sure I'm making the proper reads, not just chucking the ball downfield, finding my guys. So,
in fact, I think, not to interrupt, but I think if I remember correctly, Jared coaching you up in that camp, right? Because you had a little bit of happy feet, and Jared was like, where are you going? You have time. And he almost wasn't used to it, because he was looking to get out of the pocket when the pocket was there. And then once he was accustomed to that, he was used to standing in there and stepping up instead of trying to bail out.
It's like a light bulb that goes off, right? All of a sudden you realize this isn't the same scenario that I've been in year after year. And that really is something that is not only a testament to you, but a testament to, obviously, the teammates that you have out there. But you keep talking about reads and seeing reads differently. I've heard you say that a couple times now. What did you do to improve, and how did you improve to be able to see things better?
Honestly, just watching film. We've had the boys over at my house every week now, watching film. I mean, get together, obviously, have food, have fun, all that. But we've been watching film together, and that's been a really big, honestly, key to this year. It's just watching film, preparing week after week, and it's really helped us improve our game.
So, Coach, remember you talked about those special things that may not happen year after year? Yeah. This sounds like is one of them.
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
Definitely one of them, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, just the fact that they get together and want to be around each other, and they can do all that fun stuff together.
And that's what it is. It's just about bringing everyone in to say, is what are we going to do a little bit differently? Let me ask you a question. Did you do that in the previous years?
No.
So that's what we talk about. Something about teams that seem to come together to do things a little bit differently. Did you take the onus as a leader, the quarterback out there, as being able to bring your teammates together like this to be able to do this?
I mean, yeah, it was just like week one. We're like, I'm like, we should get together, watch some film, have some food, and we've just been doing it week after week, and it's really helped us. So,
shout out to Donnie for making all the pancakes too.
So I'm going to bring him up right now. Let's talk about your dad for a second. So I'm going to ask you the question. You getting ready for the next level, which is obviously, very close to a year away right here. Have you thought about what sport you want to play at the next level?
Baseball, committed to Canisius, so.
Yeah, that's all said and done.
So that's exactly why I brought this up. And is for those of people know that I've done so many shows, I talk about the baseball league. I used to run the South Towns Travel League. You're one of the last members here in high school sports that was a part of that league. And your dad was the coach on that team as you played in there for multiple years. And it's just good to see that that's exactly where you're going to be. But it just shows how much we can talk about. How much do you believe your baseball side has helped the football side?
It's helped me a lot, especially my throwing game. So.
And how important do you believe it was being a multi-sport athlete to help you get to what that next level is?
Just like if I'm playing something all year round, it's like I'm going to get tired of it. I'm going to get hurt. Like I'm using the same thing over and over. And playing hockey, football, and baseball, I'm using different muscles, like strengthening up different parts of the body and not just the same thing over and over.
Coach, I just want to ask you a quick question because this is a topic we could probably talk a complete show on, right? The multi-sport athlete. But just one question. When you have coaches contact you and asking you about players like DJ right here, how many times are they asking you, do they play other sports and do they do other things? And what makes them a different player than everybody else is? Talk about what happens just from that standpoint.
I think it's a question they all ask. And I think, if you're putting yourself in that shoes as a recruiter, if a kid's a good athlete, he's going to be good at all the sports that he plays. And I think that's what they want to see. Not only is he a state level football player, but he plays basketball, he runs track, or he plays lacrosse or something like that. And at a high level, because a good athlete's going to excel at every sport that he picks up. So I encourage it. I'm old school in that way. I'm not for specialization at all. Like there's a certain time that you play football, and in the winter, I want my linemen wrestling, and I want other guys running track and playing basketball and doing those things. Because I think it's they don't want to hear from me all year, and they need to have other coaches, and they need to, like DJ said, work on other parts of their game. And I think all sports have carryover from one to another. So, I would want kids playing 3 or 4 sports if they could.
Last question is going to go to both of you. Mm-hmm. For you to win, say that you had a win on this game on Friday night, what had to happen on the field for that to happen?
One, we got to protect the football. That's it. Turnovers. The turnover margin is in close games is going to really be what decides it. And then I think for us, just continue to play with a hard physical edge, like all of our teams have. I think that this group is getting to that point, and I think that they're going to continue that Friday night, and just continue to improve. We're on the outside looking in. You would look at us as 6-0. We've scored a bunch of points. We've done a lot of things. And I look at it from my perspective, and I say we haven't even come close to playing our best game yet. We really haven't. There's a lot of improvement in a lot of spots, so we're just going to continue to work on those areas and try to improve and put our best foot forward on Friday night.
Same question.
Just got to have intensity all game long. Play hard, hit hard, run hard. That's all we got to do.
There you go. Guys, I appreciate you coming in. We wish you nothing but the best of luck on Friday night. I'll be part of the call on Friday night with Carson Harper. I can't wait. Right. And we'll see because we'll know we'll be doing some post-game interviews, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you even more. So
awesome.
I wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for
so
coming
much.
in.
All right. Thank you. All right.
And then we'll be back right now for the next segment on Western New York Football Weekly.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
At Richmond Vona, we are seriously dedicated to bettering the communities that we serve.
You will get super high level communication, and you are getting a team of dedicated attorneys, paralegals.
If you put your trust in us and hire us, we promise to take care of everything. Call us as soon as possible so we can start the investigation to fight to get you the settlement you deserve.
And we're back here at Western New York High School Football Weekly. Joe Kraus, Tom Prince. We had a great conversation with head coach Jim Marino and DJ Banker, the senior quarterback, off to be a Golden Griff like myself for the baseball side. And that really is interesting about the multi-sport aspect, because you hear it all the time of kids having to decide which sport over the other. But to hear someone like DJ, it's refreshing, right? To hear the multi-sport and have those skills transfer over.
Yeah, it's so much. And it is what college coaches look for. And listen, there could be a debate. Like I said, we could really talk about this and turn it into an entire show. Get that. But just wanted to hear exactly what a coach says about what the college coaches are saying. And then the young player who's come about now, who has a Division I opportunity to go play baseball. And guess where? I've seen this young man grow up through the ranks right here, through the baseball ranks. His father coached him for years. And it just shows it doesn't matter what team you're playing on when you're 8, 9, 10 years old. Keep doing the things, keep putting in the time, keep putting in the work, and guess what? if you can go ahead and do what you're capable of doing, it will come out eventually. And look at what it's done for this young man right here.
So again, that'll be Friday night, and we'll get through the rest of our broadcast this week. But Friday, Williamsville South, West Seneca East, yourself, Carson Harper on the call. That's going to be a good one on the NFHS Network. So be sure to subscribe and tune in, because that's going to be, it's always big. With Will South and West Seneca both in the hunt once again and going for that top seed.
And you're on the other game
Yes.
that's going to be for a top seed, which is very, very interesting, because there's an outside team looking in that's got some rooting interest in this one that really could turn this into a three-way race.
Yeah, absolutely. Lancaster Bennett as well Friday. And again, we'll get through the whole schedule, but we do have some congratulations to give to our players. We have the Connolly Cup and the Trench Trophy. And I guess we'll start with the Connolly Cup to start week 6. Each week, the great team of the Connolly Cup, as you can see on your screen. And let's start with the Amherst Tigers. Of course, I know that you and Frank went into last week. Again, just thoughts and prayers to Coach Jason Beckman's family and the entire Tigers program, and still continuing on the season. So it was great. Kudos to the Connolly Cup for giving Amherst as a program the honor. We also have Mason Anderson from St. Francis, Jordan Brown from Williamsville North, Tommy Collins from Williamsville South, Nassim Dolly, we mentioned about him in our first segment of his big game once again against Maryvale, Gavin DeLong from Silver Creek Forestville, Patrick Horseman from Williamsville East, also Winter Bentley Peters from Gowanda Pine Valley. And then you can see on the right side of your screen, Roger Markham from Southwestern Frewsburg, that big win. Anthony Moore III from McKinley, Alden's Aiden Phillips, Isaac Platt from Pioneer. Good to see him back in the lineup. He was banged up early on in the season. Also Nick Skutnick, who's been a big wide receiver for Iroquois. Also from Franklinville, Elkiville, Blake Smith, the two-way player. And rounding it out, Tom Arnett Williams from Health Sciences. Are there any names that stand out to you from that list?
There's multiple names that stand out, and there were some on the win and the loss column. But every one of those names that you'll see are on my Skyline report, and then we're going to add even more because we look at it. I look at it by position. So you're going to look at all the quarterbacks that had something special, all the wide receivers, all the running backs. It's going to be clear across the way that you're going to see something special. But we saw some big days by some multiple people in wins and losses that were on that list. Not all the people that are on that list won their games, but did have fantastic days. I couldn't believe the amount of running backs that went over 200 yards. I couldn't believe the amount of receivers that went over 150 this week. There are multiple big day games that are out there that are actually on that list.
So again, congrats to all the Connolly Cup winners. And Tom, you have the honor. The Trench Trophy also gave out the latest batch as well.
And you see how important these guys are to the game. You heard, what did I say when I asked Coach Marino, what is the biggest difference? The line. It's kind of what we've been talking about, but it really is a big difference. And these are the guys recognized for the Trench Trophy. It's Talon Gasser from Clarence Red Devils, Ryan Garrigan from the Will East Flames, Avion Johnson from the Medina Mustangs, Christian Pape from Kenmore West, Joe Sacco from the South Park Sparks, and then Calvin Salisbury from Southwestern Frewsburg. And I'll tell you, I was waiting. I wanted to see if it was going to happen this year because it could have happened. Were we going to see somebody get their Trench Trophy nomination and a Connolly Cup nomination in the same week? Very hard to do because you've got to be some sort of the player that does something on the offensive side of the board. Joe Sacco could have been that guy that did it because he goes and plays quarterback as a linebacker and a lineman. So he plays defensive line, he plays linebacker, he plays the offensive line, he plays quarterback, he'll run the ball. This kid does just about everything, and I was going to wait to see if he was going to be the one young man that could have had both honors this year.
Man, I mean, Joe Sacco, it sounds like he did everything except sell the popcorn in the concession stand. But again, I mean, we talk about the Trench Trophy, the offensive line, and really it's kind of been, I guess you could say, the last few years, if you don't have a successful line, the season doesn't go as well. Is that fair to assess?
Oh, absolutely. Now, do teams overcome it and figure out ways to do it? Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you, when you walk in, it's one of the first things I do when I walk down to the field. I'll go and I'll look at the first line. I'm going to look at the second line. I'm going to look at who are the guys that are making an impact. Already just seeing their form, what they're doing, how they're warming up, what they're doing differently. Those things all come out, and I'll guarantee you, normally the guys that you see doing it in the warm-ups are the guys doing it in the games.
So again, congratulations to our Trench Trophy winners and the Connolly Cup. The Sports Writers rankings did not come out in time, but is there anything else before we... You do have the rankings? So Tim said that he has the rankings, and here they are. As you can see, Canisius and St. Francis 9 and 10 in Class AA. Bennett at 19, Lancaster 24th, St. Joe's at 27. Couple of honorable mentions in Jamestown and Orchard Park. Health Sciences is number 7 in the state in Class A, coming off a big win against NT. McKinley right there at number 16. Clarence, Grand Island, West Seneca West, Williamsville East, Williamsville North is honorable mention. Class B, right there in the top 15, West Seneca East and Williamsville South. Iroquois at number 18. Depew and Olean and South Park, you are honorable mention this week. And then Class C, Southwestern Frewsburg at number 6 and still unbeaten. Barker Royhart, as we have said, ranked at number 14 right now. Eden North Collins still in the top 20. Akron, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield Brockton, Clymer, Sherman, Panama, Salamanca, and West York Maritime Tapestry are all honorable mention. And then Class D, Newfane is number 4. Wilson is number 8. Gowanda, Pine Valley, 15th. And Randolph is honorable mention. And Newfane Wilson, that's going to be a big one next Friday. The rivalry and the Class D title on the line. But as we saw the whole rankings, Tom, is that kind of how you predicted it would be?
Yeah, I mean, I would have had certain teams maybe in a little different spaces. But the names are there. Whether I agree whether they're 5 or 10, that's another debate there. But the names that need to be recognized are on those lists. And then you talk about the Newfane. Well, there are not many times you get to see a rivalry game for a conference. That doesn't happen very often, and it's going to happen in the D conference next week. I am all over wanting to see that game.
So there you have it, folks. The Connolly Cup, Trench Trophy, and the New York State Sports Writers rankings. We're going to step aside for another short break and bring you more conversation about high school football. I'm Joe, he's Tom, and you are watching Western New York High School Football Weekly from Western New York Athletics.
At Richmond Vona, we are seriously dedicated to bettering the communities that we serve.
You will get super high level communication, and you are getting a team of dedicated attorneys, paralegals.
If you put your trust in us and hire us, we promise to take care of everything. Call us as soon as possible so we can start the investigation to fight to get you the settlement you deserve.
Nuts. You still got to go.
Have you guys tried Room 40 yet?
Looking for the perfect spot to throw your next party? Say hello to Room 40, our private event space at both Wingnuts locations. Maybe you got a birthday, a graduation, anniversary, business event, rehearsal dinner, or even a sports banquet. From intimate get-togethers to rowdy celebrations, Room 40 is built to handle it all and fits up to 60 guests. With custom food and drink packages, flexible setups, legendary Wingnuts hospitality, and all the wings you can handle. If you're planning a celebration or get-together in Buffalo, this is where the party's at. Local vibes, zero stress, all fun. Book Room 40 today and throw a party Buffalo won't forget. Hit the link in our bio or visit wingnutsbuffalo.com/room40 to book now.
All right, well,
I'll go if you go to Wingnuts.
Deal.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
I'm George Wiley, a senior at Canisius High School. As the only Jesuit high school in Western New York, Canisius delivers a life-changing education. Canisius prepares young men for acceptance into the nation's finest universities, and our community supports us at each step of our journey. We are proud of our excellent athletics and our emphasis on service. This place is special. Let us show you why.
Experience firsthand the excellence of Canisius High School. Schedule your visit at canisiushigh.org.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
For an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs, more information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
And welcome back, everyone, to Western New York High School Football Weekly, episode number 7, right here on Western New York Athletics. Big thank you to once again to all of our sponsors. And we are joined right here, Joe Kraus, Tom Prince, our next guest tonight from the Bennett Tigers, senior running back and linebacker Jimmy Valentine. Jimmy, thanks for joining us tonight. And what a season you guys have had so far. 5 wins, still unbeaten in conference play. As you get into this point of the season, how would you describe the team's growth from week 1 to now?
We started off the season like a little shaky, but we were getting to know each other, and like as the season went on, like we played after week 1, we played a ranked team, and that made us even better. And like every game, we've been getting better, getting to know each other better. We getting to know our quarterback even more because we do have a young QB. So like every week we getting better as like a team as a whole.
And you mentioned about that ranked game in week 2 out of state. How it wasn't the result you guys wanted, but how helpful was that to take on Massillon to get those early reps of a team like they have?
It was great. It was a great experience. It made a lot of us tougher to like even more towards the season because like we probably won't see another team like that all year. So, like, it just made us better and just made everybody just more tougher and just ready.
You're now part of a backfield that we've seen for the last couple of years. That running back go on to a Division I school is where they've gone. How does it feel to be in that kind of a class of a backfield right now?
It just feels great. It's like me looking up to the other running backs. It's just like I watched them. Like, for me coming from St. Francis, I just seen a lot of great running backs, and I just pick up off of it so I could be a better player overall.
One thing that has stood out for the Bennett Tigers the last probably 4 or 5 years has been that offensive line to open up things. I want you to talk about that offensive line, and then they've been a big part of your success so far this year.
I mean, they've been great, especially from like week 1. We've been getting stronger. We're big on the weight room, and I have a very strong O-line, big up front, and they take their job very serious. So, yeah, that's a big part of why I'm successful right now as far as, like, running the ball.
And you yourself, you've scored 11 times from the backfield, nearly 900 yards rushing. I guess from going from when you were starting out as a player, maybe your freshman year of high school to now, how have you progressed? Was there something that you did year to year to maybe improve upon?
Yes, like it's a big part of like coming from little league. It's a big part of like playing running back. It's way different. It's like being more patient, like staying focused, and like making sure I stay low and hit the hole.
One of the things Coach does, and you've already alluded to, was the weight room. He has you guys living in there in the offseason. It's something he believes in. In fact, takes pride on what he does differently. Talk about that weight room this summer and what it's done for your game.
It's just way different. It keeps me way stronger. My bones, it's just overall, I just been so much stronger, and it just feels better. It's like when you get tackled, you get right back up. You don't really feel nothing. I feel great. I'm very thankful that I came to Bennett and got to meet and be coached by Coach McDuffie.
And before you came to Bennett, you probably heard about the Bennett-Lancaster rivalry getting to the stadium. I know Bennett won in 22 and 23. Now that you get to be a part of that rivalry, Bennett-Lancaster, what does that mean to you? Is there anything about the excitement of playing a team like Lancaster?
Yeah, it's like games like this is what just makes me more excited. Like I'm just way more pumped. I love games like this, like games like Lancaster, Orchard Park, Jamestown. Those are games I'll be looking for all season. So yeah, I love it.
I want you to talk about, you've seen film now on Lancaster. Obviously, you've now seen. So you know what you've got to do.
Yeah.
So there's got to, and I'm not going to have you give me away what's going on, but I do want to say is, what do you have to do, though, as a running back to be successful in this game with Lancaster?
I have to make sure I get every yard I can get. Sometimes I might not be able to break it away, but I got to make sure every yard I could get, I'm going to get, and I can promise that for my team.
You kind of mentioned early on, Jimmy, about playing in Little Loop early on. Was running back the first position that you drew to, or how did you become a running back?
Yeah, I've been playing it basically my whole life, like running back, linebacker. It's just like I got moved more to outside linebacker, but it's like I know I'm good at both. If I want, like for Division I, I could go for either running back or linebacker because I know I'm very good at it. So yeah, I've been playing that my whole life, and I've just been getting better at it just my whole life. So yeah.
That's tough to play those two positions on both sides of the ball just because of what's taken out of your body. You know you're going to see some big hits in the next couple games.
Mm-hmm.
How do you be able to stay in the game to run as much as you need to? Now, I understand Eskridge will relieve you a little bit at running back, but talk about how you're able to do that for an entire game to make sure that you could play both sides of the ball.
It's mainly like just make sure I stay healthy and like just make sure I keep my body right and like practice hard. So like make sure I don't take breaks in practice so I'm used to it in the game. And also I do have a couple other running backs behind me, like Dontre and Nairi Feaster. So like they help me out a lot if I need to come out for a play or two, but I'm right back in. And that's just like a big part.
Definitely. I know that off camera, Jimmy, you have a member of your family with you tonight. How big is the family support been for you from year to year?
It's been outstanding, especially with my dad. He's been there for me like basically like from when I started till now, and it's like he's been a big part. My mom, my dad, my coaches. I have a whole village, and it's like that's why I'm here today. And like I don't know what I would do.
All right, if I'm a college coach right now, you're talking to me. Give me the pitch. Why you?
It's like my whole life is like I always been stood out. Like it's like my work ethic. I know I could work. I work and I work and I never just stop working. Like a lot of kids, they have the talent, but they stop working. Hard work beats talent.
Absolutely. A big game coming up, like we said, Friday night against Lancaster. We'll be there on the call. I guess for those that maybe don't know about, I mean, Bennett is a big school, but why Bennett? What is it about the atmosphere in the school that's just so enjoyable? Walking the hallways with your classmates.
It's about the respect. It's about when you walking through the hallways. It's like, of course, there's a lot of kids, but we are a big school. But like when you play football, you stand out, and that's why when you walk around the school and you doing what you do, you have to make sure you're doing the right thing.
You got some great assistant coaches out there, too. I mean,
Yeah.
You really do. This is a great program when you look at coaches from top to bottom. Talk about how some of the other coaches have helped you out as well.
Especially like Coach Brim. He played in the NFL. He's a great. I was training with him even before I even came. Coach Scott, he brings the energy. He keeps us hype, and he stays on everybody. AJ, he just around. He keeps the smile up. Everybody on the team, even our coach, Coach O'Connor, he's like a big part of our team, and that's why we've been winning a lot.
Jimmy, we've talked a lot about your running back and being a linebacker. Were there any players that you were watching growing up, the NFL, that you kind of emulate, or someone that you enjoy watching now?
Yeah, I like to watch, like, I used to watch, like, probably, like, Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy, like, somewhere around there. Le'Veon Bell, I love his patience. That's what I'm big on, staying patient, waiting for the block to set up, and then hit the hole.
I like that because I talk about that a lot on broadcasts. So to do that, you need your offensive line's help.
Yep.
Why don't you give them a little bit of love right now?
Yeah,
Who do you
yeah.
recognize on that offensive line?
One of the best linemen I have is Jason Warren. He was All-State last year. He's a great lineman. Bruce, I have a young center. His name is Twan. We have a great alignment. Rashad at tackle, Amadou. I have a great alignment, and they take their job very seriously. That's what I love about them.
Absolutely. Jimmy, we talked a lot about the team. Not to get too far ahead, but is there a matchup, Lancaster Orchard Park? That's a tough sledge. Do you think the guys are ready for this run based on what you've seen?
Yeah, we ready. This is what we've been waiting for all season. This is especially what I've been waiting for all season. All the other games, like I ain't trying to bash nobody or anything, but like these are the games that like I'm built for this. So like this is the games I've been waiting for all season to make a play.
Not only you, we are too. You gotta get excited for these games.
Yes.
And you're talking about this is what Joe and I were talking about earlier. This is the number 1 seed on the line right now.
Yes, sir.
For possibly 2 weeks in a row.
Yes, sir.
So think about that. You win even this week. That just sets up that you got to win next week because it could be both games setting you up for another number 1 seed. So, no, I think we're just as excited as you are just to be able to watch these ones. So,
absolutely. Tom, was there anything else you wanted to add?
I think we got everything. So, if I was to say to you, and make this kind of the last one,
sure.
If there's something we didn't cover that you should, everyone in Western New York should know about that we haven't talked about right now, what is it?
It's mainly about a lot of people don't know is like, of course I know the work we put in, but y'all don't know like what we do in order to build it together because everybody doesn't know each other so well. But like the thing is we have great chemistry. We are a very hard working team. Like people may not be there, but the summer workouts and like the individual, that's what stands us out. We have the best athletes in Western New York, if not even the state.
Well, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Valentine from Bennett High School. Bennett taking on Lancaster Friday night. Jimmy, thanks for joining us tonight, and best of luck the rest of your season.
Yes, thank you for having me coming.
Good job, man.
Jimmy Valentine from the Bennett Tigers will step aside and come right back with more on Western New York Athletics.
Thank you.
Great job.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
At Richmond Vona, we are seriously dedicated to bettering the communities that we serve.
You will get super high level communication, and you are getting a team of dedicated attorneys, paralegals.
If you put your trust in us and hire us, we promise to take care of everything. Call us as soon as possible so we can start the investigation to fight to get you the settlement you deserve.
And hi, everybody. Welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly. Joe Kraus and Tom Prince and Tim Gardner is behind the scenes. Big thanks once again to head coach Jim Marino and quarterback DJ Banker of Westside East. And we just head on from Bennett, running back and linebacker Jimmy Valentine. Unfortunately, we were also supposed to have Michael Taylor from Niagara Falls. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it.
And he found out a little bit late, so we
but
want to give
heck of a player. Hopefully, we can have him on later on in the season.
320 yards passing
yeah.
against the Lancaster team.
Yeah.
And there were some drop balls out there. It could have been even more. That kid's right now electric this season, deserves the accolades.
Absolutely, and a heck of a basketball player, too, for Coach Bradbury. But we have some big-time games, as we've been talking about here, Tom, all night about what's ahead here from your friends at West York Athletics and the NFHS Network as we take a look. Tomorrow night, myself, Rick, Tom, on the call for Kenmore West at Niagara Wheatfield. You can catch that game on the NFHS Network, 7 p.m. kickoff. And then Friday, Lancaster at Bennett, the classic all-high stadium, the Coliseum in downtown Buffalo. Myself, Ryan Mountain on the call. Tom and Carson Harper will be on West Seneca East at Wolf South. Jake and Francis here at HQ for the Empire State End Zone. And Saturday, Jamestown at Niagara Falls, another big game like we said. What do you like about that whole lineup here, Tom?
I like everything about it. And the games on Friday obviously are for right now to put yourself in position to win the division. The West Seneca East Will South winner pretty much will wrap up that division. The Lancaster-Bennett game, if Lancaster wins, wraps up the division. If Bennett wins, they need to win the following week against Orchard Park because Orchard Park could still cause a three-way tie if they were to beat Bennett. So some things interesting right there to happen. Niagara Wheatfield, the team that's coming up. Ken West, a team that's been bitten by the injury bug, unfortunately, but still have one of the most electric running backs in Western New York in Brandon. So we'll see what he's capable of doing out there in that game. And then that Jamestown Niagara Falls could be exactly what you alluded to earlier in the show, a possible repeat for the 4-5 seed. Oh, okay. So Lackawanna Depew, which is another game.
Yes.
That one's really for who could get knocked out of the playoffs in that game. That could be a really fun game as well. Both teams right now playing very good football. That, to me, could be a game that could come down to the last score.
Absolutely. Yeah, so once again, Saturday, it's not Niagara Falls, Jamestown, as was on our graphic. It is Depew, Lackawanna, 2 p.m., NFHS Network. And by the way, if you haven't...
That's Jake Fyack on the call with Carson Harper as well, I think. Or is it Carson Harper or Carson Hayek? Okay.
So that'll be a big one. And don't forget, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the NFHS Network. We have so many huge playoff games coming up right now, especially... It all starts this week, and you mentioned about Kenmore West, Tom. Harlan Brandon, second in the section in rushing yards. Ken West, they need to win to stay in the hunt. Niagara Wheatfield, they're viewing this as a playoff game for themselves as they are still in the hunt. So that should be really exciting to see.
For Kenmore West last week was in a tight game with Clarence. In fact, late in the game was up 7-6 in that game. Clarence comes with a big touchdown to be able to win that game. And I'll tell you, that was a very physical game as well in that one. I'll tell you, this is going to be a fun finish. There's a lot of conferences that we could go to look up some of the matchups that are going to happen. To me, what may be the most fun conference right now to figure out who's going to make the playoffs and who isn't is C-South. That, to me, is very, very interesting because there's a good 5-6 teams in there that got a chance to be able to make that playoff still, especially with wins and waiting to see which matchups have to finish out the season.
I mean, absolutely. You mentioned C-South, and I mean, so many tight ones that we've talked about all night. And Clarence is still in the hunt, like we were saying. Just so much going on. I mean, this is the time of year, like we've been saying.
Well, and not only that, with the C North and the C South, they have the most teams in any of their divisions. So all the teams aren't playing each other. So that 3-4 seed that you're trying to get into in the North and 3-4 in the South, really it's going to come down to tiebreakers. And those tiebreakers are points against, points for, margin of victory. All those things are going to come into play because you're not going to get a head-to-head right now game against them.
So with that, all of the excitement, without further ado, Tim's ready. Sure.
I just want to make an announcement that Frank wanted me to make sure that we talked about because I see that young man that's over that picture over there that's over my head, and that's Dick Gallagher.
Sure.
And for any of those who don't know, that Dick Gallagher has been trying, when he was here with us, was trying to put week one together of the privates versus the publics. And that's something we're trying to put together. We're looking for anybody that wants to be part of advertising, wants to play in that game, wants to be a part of it. Send us a message out there on social media, because we want to make sure that that is going to be an unbelievable, successful week. And it is in memory of that man right there. And there are many young men that I had talked to. It's funny, Tim and I had a conversation off air, as well as I've had it with a couple people that said is many people don't know if they remember Dick Gallagher. And Dick Gallagher, in essence, did what you, I, Frank Wolf, any person that you see at Western New York Athletics, that man did it himself. And he made sure he recognized an enormous amount of players that were out there. And he did it all by himself. He was running a newspaper at one point. I used to see his notes, Joe. His notes were this high when you went to his desk. It was unbelievable the knowledge he had. It was unbelievable what he brought to the table. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't know Dick Gallagher, just go back and do a Google search on some of the things that he did, because that man really set the stage for what we do out here today, because he just was that amazing. And I'll tell you, he is an absolute inspiration to anything I've done. Obviously I can't speak for you, Joe, but what he's done for high school sports, especially football, to me is just second to none.
I mean, just growing up in Buffalo, Dick Gallagher, the Channel 2, WGRZ TV, and what he did. And also, I believe Kids Escaping Drugs, he was really important with that. And it actually, right on cue, the Dick Gallagher Banquet is coming up Saturday, December 13th at the Lake Erie Italian Club, 11 to 2 p.m. Info on tickets is coming. But if you'd like to advertise, be sure to reach out to West York Athletics so we can get that going. But always a great time at the banquet that is named after Mr. Gallagher.
Absolutely. And if you've ever been to that banquet or heard about it, there are awards as far as you can see. But to do that many awards, we need help, folks. So if you could really help sponsor that at all, you got to let us know. We need your help. Because I'll tell you, the more help we get, the more players get recognized, the more awards we can do. We don't get help, we can only take so much out of our pockets to be able to do it. And when I say that, our personal pockets, because we're not out there doing it. We all have given money out of our own pockets, our time out of our own out of ourselves. We just need some help there, because we want to recognize as many players as possible. But to do it, you got to help sponsor.
So once again, that's the Dick Gallagher Banquet, December 13th, the second Saturday of the month, 11 to 2 p.m. Again, more information coming out. So I guess without further ado here, we're going to take a short break, one more break, and then we'll do our power rankings. But you're watching right now the Western New York High School Football Weekly with Joe and Tom and Tim behind the scenes right here on Western New York Athletics.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
For an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs, more information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
Hey, welcome back here to Western New York High School Football Weekly. I'm Joe Kraus, filling in for Frank Wolf. Frank will be back next week. Tom Prince is here as well. Mr. Energetic, always bringing the energy with us tonight. Tim Gardner behind the scenes as well. Big thanks to Tim. And let's take a quick look here at the standings here, Tom. We kind of touched on it. AA, Bennett, Lancaster, Orchard Park in the mix. Jamestown still in there. Niagara Falls in the mix as well.
Everyone will make the playoffs
right
here. So really, we're talking about where seeding is going to lie. That Niagara Falls, Jamestown is going to be the 4 or 5 seed right there. Mm-hmm. What happens in there is really what's going to happen up top. If Lancaster beats Bennett, they're the number 1 seed because they'll have wins over Bennett and Orchard Park. If Bennett wins, then this conference is still not over, because if Orchard Park were to beat Bennett the last week, it becomes a 3-way tie. Then you get into tiebreakers. So at this point right now, this game is huge, but it's still not over until the last week to see what happens. But literally, you could be talking about teams control their own destiny outside of necessarily Orchard Park, but can control their own destiny with a Bennett win.
So that's double A. And then as we take a look here at Class A1, the top 4 seeds get into the overall Class A postseason. Winslow North still unbeaten in league play. West Seneca West right behind. The Warhawks lost to the Spartans. Clarence, that huge win against Kenmore West. Kenmore West needs to beat Niagara Wheatfield to stay in the race. Sweet Home's still in the mix, and like we said, the Falcons still in there. But A1, it's really tight.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I'll tell you, same thing with seeding-wise, because you're looking right now, Will North with that win over West Seneca West was big. Clarence, though, with the win, with their wins right there, but they also have a loss to West Seneca West, so it stops them from moving up. Clarence has got the win over Kenmore West, which happened last week. So this is starting to shape out a little bit. It may come down to be who's going to be that 4 seed.
And in Class A2, you could see Health Sciences still unblemished overall and in league. In league play, 5-0. McKinley right behind at 4-1. Wings Leaks, that huge win over Grand Island. Vikings still in the mix. Really, A2, those could be your top 4, but we don't know where they're going to go exactly.
Correct. But it's starting to shape out a little bit. Again, same thing, especially because of Will East beating Grand Island right there. So now it becomes, can anybody get a win over McKinley to be able to do that? And I'll tell you, that Health Sciences team just looks that good.
Switching over to Class B1, we talked with Coach Marino and DJ Banker earlier tonight. Trojans at the top. Will South right behind. This game is going to determine the division. Pioneer and South Park in the mix as well. But Class B1, we talked about it all night. The Trojans and the Billies going head-to-head.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This is right here for the division. This is going to be a fun one. And both of these teams playing very similar ball. I really think this could come down to the last possession.
Again, that'll be the game that Carson and Tom will do on the NFHS Network. Class B2, Iroquois right at the top at 5-0. Depew right now a game back. Lackawanna still in the mix. Olean in the mix as well. I mean, Iroquois really just continuing to be in the driver's seat all season.
Yeah, especially with wins over these teams right here. So I really think those will be your top 4. It just depends how it shakes out a little bit right now with some games still left to play.
And taking a look at Class C North, we talked about them earlier. Barker, Roy Hart, still at the top.
Yeah, but there's a team we have not discussed enough about that needs some love right now. It's Akron.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you, Akron has been right now doing it week after week, and no one's been giving them the recognition that they deserve. Akron, we know you're out there. We see what you're doing. They're in the mix of this conference. There's no doubt about it. But this is a little bit what I was talking to you about a mess that's going on inside this division. You can look right here all the way right now to Medina at 3-2, and you can see not matchups. They're all not playing each other in that top 5, so it's going to come down to possibly a tiebreaker right there and to see exactly margin of victory coming into the difference right here to see who's going to separate themselves.
And Maritime Tapestry and Eden North Collins went head-to-head and a wild finish, 63-62. What was, I imagine you talked about with Frank, but what was your take on that Maritime Eden 63-62? That was the most I've seen in a game in a long time.
The funny part about it was how the teams did it 2 different ways. Eden North Collins did nothing but pass the ball, and Maritime Tapestry did nothing but run the ball. It was literally one style versus another, and they just both kept going at each other. But really, as we got a chance to talk to Eden North Collins when we were actually at Wingnuts. And the one thing the quarterback said to us right there, what Brady said to us was, listen, we got to get our defense going. We got to be able to make some stops. And that's one thing that you see is, to me, why that victory over Medina was really so big, because it was them stepping up against the team that they were able to show that they can now do some things on the defensive side of the ball. I thought that was their big game, but I'll tell you, this is going to be something, because even though you're playing in conference, you're now going to see when you go to the playoffs how strong this C-South team is. And some of those matchups could be a blast to watch.
And speaking of C-South, Southwestern Frewsburg, the big win a couple weeks ago against Chautauqua Lake, Westfield Brockton. Those two are at the top. CSP back in the mix again, and Falconer too. I mean, Southwestern Frewsburg, you talked about that game a couple weeks ago at Chautauqua Lake. That was a really big one, and Southwestern had the big win.
I have been so impressed with this Southwestern Frewsburg team. They are something to watch. They really are. And they are a complete team. They can win any way you want them to win. Try stacking the box, I'll throw the ball against you. Okay, you want to right now stop the pass? I'll run the ball up and down on you. They've got a line. They've got everything right there that says that you've got championship caliber written all over you. I love what I see from the Southwestern Frewsburg team. But I'll tell you, watch what's going on right here, because even your Portville team is still in the mix in this whole thing. Really, if they would have, they had the lead late in the game against Falcon or Cassadaga Valley Maple Grove right there. If they win that game, this could be a total different conference right here, because you could be talking about how many teams are all beating each other. Like, think about it. Salamanca beats CSP. Falconer beats Portville. Portville beats Salamanca. Like, it's a mess right now between that 3 and 6 seed right there that really I won't be surprised if any of those teams get into that top 4.
Really intriguing there to see South and see overall. And we wrap it up with Class D here, Tom. We talked about at the top of Newfane and Wilson, still both unbeaten, heading towards a crash course here next Friday. Gowanda, Pine Valley right behind at 4-1. Randolph at 3-2 in the league. I mean, it's not over yet, but this is interesting here in Class D too.
Yeah, you really can see how it's starting to shape out, but I totally agree. It looks like it's a Newfane Wilson crash course right now. And to do it on rivalry week is even more impressive to me. And I'll tell you, folks, I don't care what the conference is. I don't care how many people, how many beds, all those things. Watch out, because that is going to be a game that all of Western New York should circle.
So there you have it, folks. Those are the current standings.
Yeah, but let's also just at least mention, obviously we don't have the standings for Monsignor Martin, but
Yep.
let's talk about, because that really is a crash course right now, coming down to 2 teams. And that is also coming down in rivalry week, even though that you may tell me that the better rivalry is St. Joe's and Canisius. Okay, I get it. I'm with you. But right now, these 2 teams are on a crash course of that rivalry week that we know in Section 6. It's not rivalry week in Monsignor Martin Conference. But the winner of that right there gets their number 1 seed to go into the playoffs.
You're talking about Canisius St. Francis.
St. Francis, exactly.
And we haven't talked about them yet, but an update from you. I mean, Canisius St. Francis, I mean, those 2 teams, you have Cook against Kimball in the backfield. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Well, you don't forget about, it's not just Cook in that backfield, right? They've got also a transfer in that backfield right now, Ty Clark, that is also, and has probably been doing even more running because he's not injured. He was injured earlier in the season, so that Dom was doing more of the running. But I think you're going to see Clark more and then Cook add into it. And there is an importance because of how Cook is on defense and how much they really need him on the defensive side of the ball as well. But that quarterback, Trent Buttles, that may be the difference right there. That's what we're waiting to see. Does Buttles be the difference for St. Francis over Canisius? But that's why we play the game. But I'll tell you, that line for Canisius, wow, that is definitely the biggest line we have in Western New York. And that's the reason why Kimball constantly goes for 250 to 350 yards.
So with that, let's transition here, Tom, to our weekly power rankings. We picked our top 10 in the large, and we'll start with the small here. And Tom, I'll let you go first.
So honestly, we're very similar in the teams that are out here. The only difference is maybe the way that we rank them. And Southwestern Frewsburg, to me, just what I've seen has just been something as far as a complete team that goes. Obviously, West Seneca East right there into the mix right there. This isn't 1-2. This is more 1-1A to me. They're that close as out there. And I can't wait to see how the next week really plays out, because it's going to start telling us a story right here. Will South, Iroquois. I've got Iroquois, Will South. You flip it, got Will South, Iroquois. Again, you're talking about 2 dynamic teams. Iroquois showing one of the top quarterbacks in the area. Clyte's breaking every record there is possible right now in Western New York. Boy, it'd be fun to see a Will South Iroquois, because part of those records are going to be the coach over there at Will South as part of those records that he's been a part of breaking. Depew, to me, the reason why I've got them, I think, a little bit higher than you do, I like what that line is. That is one big line that's out there, and that's the reason they're having so much success. And sometimes one of the teams that are in lower classes just don't see a line like they're seeing from Depew. And that's why I've got them a little bit higher than what you did right there. Chautauqua Lake and Brockton Westfield, they're really, again, they're sitting at that second place, having a great year. Their only loss, really, the Southwestern Frewsburg team. That was another unbelievable team. But I'll tell you, any team that, to me, that's actually coached by Ty Harper better be in the mix right here because they're going to be that good. Newfane we discussed. Barker Roy. I'm going to tell you, I even struggled with the Newfane Barker Royhart one, but obviously Newfane with that win right there is also big why they're where they are. And then the same thing, Wilson. And then I struggled with exactly what you did right there. I was struggling between Pioneer and Lackawanna, especially because Pioneer's got that win. The only difference was Pioneer also has that loss to Williamsville South, and Lackawanna right now sitting as where they are. Their loss was to Iroquois in a very, very close matchup. So honestly, it was a toss-up. But if you're looking at kind of my ones, Pioneer sitting there, Eden North Collins is sitting there, CSP, Olean, Salamanca, and Akron are all my teams that are itching to get right up there and are all on the verge of possibly popping into that top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're pretty much in sync for the most part of where we are. I think West Seneca East for me, just week one out of the get-go. Kevin Sadowski, a huge year, 8 rushing scores. The Trojans, 33 touchdowns as an offensive unit. And Southwestern Frewsburg, we talked about them. Williamsville South, I mean, to see what Joe Licata has done from year one to right now, this group has been really tremendous. That big contest. And really, their only loss was a non-conference loss to Williamsville East and Iroquois Newfane. I mean, Matt Capon, he's a quarterback. He's leading the section in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. It's unbelievable for the Panthers. Barker Royhart, like we said, the running game, that's going to be interesting down the stretch. I think they have enough bodies to keep it moving. Chautauqua Lake in that group, really just what Coach Harper has done in year one has been tremendous. And then Depew Wilson Pioneer to round out the top 10. The Lakemen off to their best year in a long time. Ryan Huff having a great job on the outside at receiver. And Pioneer, I know that Pioneer has a couple of losses, but now that they're fully healthy, I think they have one big run with them down the stretch.
I don't disagree with you at all. I understand why you'd say that about Pioneer, and it's what I struggled with because I know how good that team can be. And, boy, you get a healthy Isaac Platt, you're talking about a player that could easily make a run for a Conley Cup nomination to be able to finish this one off.
So those are our small school power rankings. As we'll transition to the large, and I mean, really, it's really a toss-up for number one. I think, and I said this a couple weeks ago, until a team from Western New York can beat Canisius, I think Canisius, to me, is at the top. It's probably going to run through them once again, the Monsignor Martin championship run. But if St. Francis can pull it off in a couple of weeks, I'll flip. But for right now, Canisius is 1, St. Franny's 2, Bennett number 3, Lancaster 4. That's going to be a really huge game Friday, like we've been saying. Health Sciences still undefeated, still at the top of Class A. Orchard Park has really been intriguing to me the last couple of weeks, really turned around their season. A couple of tough losses at the beginning of the year to Health and Lancaster, but Jamestown, they hung in there. Niagara Falls, they held their ground. Jarek Bresky, I think he just announced his offer for where he's going, but 13 rushing scores for the Quakers. McKinley, they lost to Health Sciences, but they held Lancaster to 1 point in the opener, and I think that's important. Lancaster's AA, McKinley is Class A1. Just with McKinley and that running game, I think that's going to be big. And then West Seneca West, Will East, Will North, that's my top 10. But really, the gap between 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4, it's not that far. But I'm sticking with the Crusaders until someone can knock them off here in our home backyard.
I've got zero issues with that. The only difference that I've seen is I've seen both teams, and I've called both games. And the only difference to me is the quarterback. And to me is they have – listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that one running back's better than another. We know how good Kimball is, okay? And I love that line for Canisius. I just love what I saw from the quarterback play. And I like how St. Francis can play more than one way. They can run the ball and pass the ball. That's the only difference that made me choose one over the other. Will I be surprised if Canisius wins? No. Will I be surprised if St. Francis wins? No, absolutely. I think it's going to be that good of a game, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be something special to be a part of. Health Sciences, to me, The way they're winning has just been unbelievable. And their line is matching the lines that we're seeing from a AA and from Monsignor Martin. That's the reason why I've got them right now up. I want to see Bennett, like you just heard Jimmy Valentine tell us, is they haven't they haven't played their big game yet. They haven't seen how good Bennett is yet. I'm telling you, they're ripe right now to make that jump up as well. St. Joe's, because of the win they had over Jamestown, to see when they went into a conference play and how that line did against the team, is why I still have them into the mix. Because they really have, their losses are what? St. Francis and Canisius, which are our top two teams that we're saying are two top teams outside in Western New York. Otherwise, we really haven't seen them lose to anybody else, and they've beaten a team that's in the mix just on the outside of the rankings looking in, as far as I'm concerned. And then Lancaster, again, they're right in the mix right here. A win over Bennett could vault them right up into the upper echelon right here. McKinley, Orchard Park, all the things you said. I'm going to tell you, that Orchard Park Lancaster game was an absolute game that a couple special teams wins by Lancaster was the reason for that victory. They had a much better second half than you can even say Lancaster did. And you could really say it's been since that Lancaster game we've seen a completely different Orchard Park team. And we're going to see them into the mix in this team. I think another team that's getting hot as the playoffs come. McKinley, for the same reasons you talk about. Will East now with their big win over Grand Island. I had Grand Island over them last week. That's where Grand Island came out of the rankings. Will East moves up a spot in there. And Will North, since they've gotten into conference play, we've now seen the team we know about in Will North, especially when they had in conference play. And then right there, and again, like if I were to look at yours, the only difference is the reason why I've got Will North where they are and over West Seneca West is a win. That's a head-to-head win right there. So that's the reason why West Seneca West is still in my teams to watch. Clarence is right there. Grand Island is right there. Jamestown, Niagara Falls right there. I'll tell you, any of these teams falter, we're going to see some of those teams jump up right into the rankings as well.
Absolutely. And, that McKinley, like we said, 2 losses, the one to Health Sciences by 24. Like, they're still in this mix, and it's still far from over. Are there any other thoughts, any other teams that maybe around the bubble for you, with just overall large or small, that could still make a big run, or anyone else that we didn't talk about tonight?
I think all those teams I put on right there are right into the mix. And whether you talk small or large, it's going to be very, very interesting. How do you count out a team like CSP? We haven't in the ranking, but you're talking about a team that knows how to win. You're talking about players that have been there for state championships, know how to do it, knows how to win, knows what needs to happen. It's something that they really have been showing they can compete with the best of them. They're going to be interesting to see if they can get themselves into the playoffs, what kind of damage they can cause, because they know how to win down at CSP. When you look at, a team like West Seneca West, their young quarterback right now, Anderson, this kid's learning on the job right now.
Only a freshman.
This kid, every time he makes any sort of mistake, this young man learns from his mistake and gets better. And I'll tell you, if he learns from there and takes all the things he learns into the playoffs, how dangerous does West Seneca West now become as a playoff team? Like I said, there's a lot of teams. Just because you're not in there doesn't mean that you aren't one of the top teams in Western New York or top players in Western New York. This is just it's more of, we're just trying to recognize some of the teams that are out there and give them their flowers. But I'll tell you, it's going to be very interesting, because that rankings that we look at right now will change heavily in the next 2 weeks.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's a great way to end it there, Tom. Well, you just said that things are still up in the air. Again, be sure to visit our social media, WNY Athletics. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have a big lineup, as we said, for our broadcast later this week, especially on Friday night. Lancaster, Bennett at All High, West Seneca East, and Wool South on the NFHS Network. Tom, is there anything else you'd like to add to wrap up this show?
No, but I'll tell you right now, we're 2 weeks away of whether you make the playoffs or not. You better not be, as a player or as a team, go, I wish I did this. You better leave it on the field the next 2 weeks, because it could be the difference of whether your season ends, especially for your senior, or whether you advance and go on.
So there you have it, everybody. Big thanks again to our producer, Tim Gardner, for running behind the scenes. Big thanks to Tom Prince for joining me tonight. Frank Wolf is going to be back next week. But until then, for Tom and Tim, I'm Joe Kraus. So thank you all for tuning in to Western New York High School Football Weekly right here on Western New York Athletics. Have a good night, everybody.